Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Clearly, it's me, Kareen. Hope everybody's doing well. And you guys are finally getting some good weather. We are here in Alberta. It's been some bright, sunny skies. And shockingly enough, it's already dry enough. We've had some pretty decent wildfires in the area here. Not my area, but just kind of around and a lot of grass fires and things like that. So, we go from one extreme to the other. Welcome to Alberta, basically. So today, this is actually hilariously enough, this is the second time I'm filming this video because it turns out the first time I did the whole video, completed these two cards, which are they pretty? Anyway, completed the two cards, and it turns out I was filming my face, not the work surface here, so you guys could see what I was doing. So yeah, if I'd have posted that, thank goodness I checked it before I put it out, because yeah, y'all would have just been basically looking in my ear and all of my double chins. So there you go. So here we go, take two. Um, so my friend Matt, who is the designer and the person behind Mr. Matt's Mixed Media, which is where I got these prints from. He's a digital artist, digital designer, and he asked me because he was so happy with the previous cards that I had done. I think some of you all saw the Easter Bunny cards that I had made using his designs, and he thought that they were just really lovely and asked if I could do a series of showing you guys pretty much start to finish how to work with his designs. So I will have, when I can figure out how to do it, I'll have a video that I'm going to post of just me printing them off, because I just did these printed off just from my computer, just regular Canon printer. It wasn't anything special. Regular, well, not quite regular cardstock. It's 110 pound, but really thin, excuse me, sorry, really thin GSM. So it runs through my printer really nicely. Yeah, and then I use some glossy photo paper to get this really beautiful shiny look. So yeah, so I'm gonna show you start to finish, like basically how I look at making this card and taking it to kind of the next level, all of those kind of things. So we're gonna do that today, and then I'm gonna show you some of the prints. So I have this is one of them. So when you purchase from Matt, or if you're looking at doing something from Matt, you get basically they're a digital download, and depending on the files that you choose and the things that you like, you'll get anywhere from 15 to like 30 or 40 images, I think it is. And some of them can be used for like smaller projects like this. You can decide how big you want to print them, or like up to like a 12 by 12. So you can actually scrapbook with them. You can do like an 8 by 8 to do a folio album, things like that. So you can decide based on your printer. Now, for me, I'm so not techie. I think we all know that by now. There are things that I can do, things that are not so great, and I don't. In those kind of areas, I'm not a big experimenter, not gonna lie. But basically what I can do is have my printer, I can designate it to print a 5 by 7. So this is a eight and a half by 11 inch sheet, so a standard A2 size sheet. So you would get 4 card panels basically out of this if you cut it in half and then in half. So you'd have 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 basically is what you'd have. So I could my printer will allow me to print out full page, 8 by 11. Sorry, nope, that's wrong. 8 by 10, a 5 by 7, which is what this is, which will fit the card bases. This is what this size was. Okay, so that's what that ends up being. So it trims down really nicely to a 5 by 7. My printer will also allow me to print down to a 4 by 6, some wallet sizes, so teeny tiny, like 2 by 2, 3 by 3. The only problem is I haven't figured out how to move them around, so it centers them in my paper. So if I was doing a wallet size, I would get one right smack in the middle of my paper, which one of these days, maybe I'll figure out how to move it around. But anyway, so this is actually this particular one I printed off because it's going to become, I'm going to use this for my Father's Day card. And so that's one image. Okay. And then I've got this cutie pie here, and you can see I printed this out. So this printed out as an 8. Yeah, 8 by 11, 8 by 10 size image. So I could cut this out and actually just frame it and put it on my wall. But what I'm actually going to be doing is creating like some mixed media art, like a shelf sitter, because it's for throughout the summer, I like to do a Canadian themed tiered tray and a few decorations around the house. Then after that, we move into fall and Halloween, and then from there, winter and Christmas, and then from there, Valentine's, and then to Easter, spring, and then we come around again to summer Canada Day kind of thing. Which, you know, if you're in the States, maybe it's Independence Day, 4th of July, that kind of thing. So that's what I like to do. So I'm going to use this. So that's going to be one of my upcoming videos. Is I'm going to create this guy into a shelf sitter. And I think it's really just interesting to see the difference between the glossy paper and then the not so glossy paper. So this is just regular cardstock, this one. And this is another one that I'm going to turn into a shelf sitter. But isn't he cute? Like, look at the amazing detail in these. This is another one that I'm going to be doing. This is again going to be for my Canada Day decor kind of thing, or my summer decor. And I'm going to turn this into a shelf sitter. But I just wanted, so I printed this one out on the glossy photo paper again, but I wanted to show you, I'm going to see if I can get in close enough to show you the depth. So I actually have some paintings in the main area of my home that have kind of like these almost like the palette knife, like they put the acrylic paint and the palette on and then kind of scrape it and create their depth and everything using just the palette knife. But he was able to do this like on paper. And so it has this really beautiful depth. So it actually looks like artwork. Same thing with the sky here with the clouds. So it's kind of like these swipes of the paper. Now, of course, this was all done digitally, but it adds a really beautiful depth to it. So just thought I would show you that. So those are going to be some upcoming projects. So hopefully, you know, like, subscribe so that you're notified when my next videos go up. I don't know if it's going to be the next one, but yeah, just watch for it. So it'll be probably titled something like Mixed Media Shelf Sitters, something like that. Anyway, enough wittering on about the future projects. Let's get to today's project, because as I said, this is now the second time I filmed this video. So here we go. Here is the image that I'm going to do today. So these are the two that I did on Sunday. And so they're similar tones and everything, just slightly different. And I did two of them because I wanted to show you, here's what you can do if you're printing this off on a shiny cardstock or on like shiny, this is photo paper again. And look at how nice this is. I didn't do anything to zhuzh it up. All I did was add my die cut, and I lined it with an extra die cut. So there's two of them there. One has a little bit shine, one has the shine, and then there's a holographic one behind. Added some flat back pearls, called it good. Perfectly lovely, gorgeous card. And then of course I stamped my stamp on the back because, you know, got to say who made it. Okay. And then on this one was done on regular cardstock, and there are some elements on it that I popped out. So I added white to all of the edges of where the light is here. I'm not sure if it's going to catch that, but you can see I've added some glitter to where their waves are, where the light is hitting the waves on the water. I've added some glitter, like mica, to where the sun would be shining on the water, and then the actual sun there, and then a little bit to where the light is hitting the dock. And this card is just beautiful in person. Now, I could have done the same as I did with the glossy cardstock and or the glossy photo paper, sorry, just added my sentiment and then a couple of pieces of bling to catch the light, called it good. It's still a beautiful card. And I'm going to walk you through these steps. So, but what we're today, but this is where we're going to start. So I've got my two pieces, and I actually chose to do the exact same photo, or the same design. They're not, well, I mean, because I did it on photo paper, technically it looks like photo, right? But this is the exact same design. So you can see that there is a brightness that happens because on this one, it's on the glossy. On this one, it's a more muted design, but it looks like it's got a little bit of depth because it has absorbed into the paper. Okay. Both are beautiful. Let's trim them out. So the cards that I'm going to be putting these on, so the card fronts that I'm going to be putting these on are just a standard card that I buy from Michaels, and it is a just a minute here, I'm going to get it out so you guys can see. So I buy them in the bulk packs because it's like a pack of 50 cards plus envelopes for like $15. You can use your coupon. Sometimes they have a BOGO, so you can actually buy one and get one free. So I get 100 cards for $15. So I like to buy those at Michael's. Can't get cardstock that cheap. So these are 6.5 by 5. And I want to say that I think they're called an A7, but don't quote me on that because I'm not for sure. The only one that I know for sure is the A2 size, standard A2 size. But these are going to be 5 by 6.5 is the card base. So I want I want to put a bit, as you can see here, I did about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around for my matting. And then, so my matting was cut to 4 by 6.25. And then I cut my picture down to 4.5 by 5. Let me just double check that measurement to make sure I'm not lying. Nope, sorry, by 6. So yes, this is why we don't math on the go, because it's not my forte. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down my images first. That's where I want to start with. I'm going to trim them down just to make sure that I'm going to have enough space. So, and I can start to decide where do I want like my sentiment, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then that way that will allow me to decide which, like if I'm going to cut more off of the top, the bottom, one side or the other, that kind of thing. Okay, so now I want to straighten these edges then because I decided that was straight there. Oh, okay. So there's one image. Those extras away. Let's do the same now with the shiny, with the photo paper. So how is everybody doing? Have you guys ever pulled a boneheaded move like that, like what I did there, where it's like, you finish everything and then you think you've got everything. And the really hilarious thing, not the first time I've done that, where I've filmed the whole video. So I actually know better. That's the retarded thing. Okay, so we've got our two images here. All right. So now I want to decide what kind of sentiment I want to use on it. So I know that I think I want to make like I definitely want to do a happy birthday card. So I'm going to pull out some sentiments here and see which ones I like. So I've got this, which is really quite a nice, delicate happy birthday, right? Like it doesn't have the shadow layer, but that's okay because it's really quite lovely on there. I like this hello, or I might want a more delicate hello. We'll also do, let's see, I've got this hello. And I have a 280. Oh no, that's all separate. I don't want to have to pump that out. That's well, it seems like it's a lot of work having to do that in front of you guys there. Big birthday wishes, put those to the side. Let's see here. So I've got a few more here, and these ones actually, what's really lovely about these is that they have a the shadow to them as well. Okay, so let's put this to the side and let's decide. Uh, let's put it aside. Let's decide. Blah blah blah. Okay, I'm gonna pull the shadows off because I don't necessarily need to worry about that. So I've got happy birthday, happy birthday. Also got this hello that I'm gonna unwrap here, so I can see which one do I actually like having on there. So we've got a hello, happy birthday, and then I haven't separated this one. Probably should. I tend to just send this through both. Yeah, no, actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave it. I'll send it through both colors twice and then call it good. Bump up. So this is a hello with the shadow. So this is what the hello looks like. Okay, so to put these around this. So I can see what sort of a real estate my sentiment is going to take up. Sorry, that was a total brain fart there for a minute. All right. And then we've got this hello. Okay. So which one do I want to do as the happy birthday? So I think I want to do this one because I'm going to zhuzh this one up. I'm going to do that one as my happy birthday. I'm going to do this one, the shinier one, as the hello, or thinking of you, dear friend, whatever. But mostly I'm just going to be doing hellos, and it'll be blank on the inside, because then it can be hello, and on the inside I could stamp happy birthday. It's basically just a generic. So now I'm looking at this hello. So this is a pretty this is a I think this is hello. It's called the oh, I used to know this off by heart, but this is by Birch Press Studios. And so it's a very chunky sentiment. And then it's got this really beautiful shadow to go with it. So I'm going to keep that as because I want this to be like my footprint, so I know how much space it's taking. So what's really quite nice about this is, by doing something that's smaller than these happy birthdays, is that gives me a lot of real estate. So I can leave the water and really just have that shine and put my hello here. I tend to think that this is really nice here, like that. Okay. Or I can do this hello like that. Because again, I'm going to trim this down, right? So this is going to go down to, let's get my ruler out. So this is going to go down, the main card front is going to go down to 6 inches. So if I were to look at what is 6 inches, 6 inches takes it to here. So I could cut in, like half an inch here and half an inch here, and still have a really nice centered frame. So that's what I'm going to do on that one, is take kind of a half an inch off each side. And I think I can move that up and take a little bit off of the dock and just a little bit off of the top. So I can pretty much center that one and be I think pretty happy with that. That'll come in here and here, and I've got good grounding on both sides. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's look at these happy birthdays. So again, the same thing. It's going to come down to 6 inches. So let's see here. I don't know if I put this over into this edge here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's not so centered. So, all right. So I need to have this amount is what I'm going to have to come into. So this is the square footage of what I'm looking at, right? So this happy birthday is really lovely and quite delicate. And what's nice is, because it doesn't have the shadow, I don't have to use the shadow for either of these, but because it doesn't have it makes its own impact. But I could do, I don't want to block the light source, but that could be really nice up there, kind of highlighting around the sun, right? So if I'm bringing this in like that, that could be really lovely, and it gives me room to zhuzh in that area there. That's quite nice. So if I were to do this larger sentiment, I would actually want to have a little bit more overhang on this side and bring this side in maybe 3/4 of an inch, and just do 1/4 of an inch on this side. As you can see how I would want that to be slightly more balanced that way. Oh, see, now that's really nice, right? Looking like that. Now let's try this happy birthday. So that's really nice, but I think I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to put these guys to the side, and I'm going to trim these out before I forget those measurements, because that's how the brain works for me these days. And let's put this. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of there. And I'm going to come in on this side, and we're going to take that down to 6. So I'm only losing just a skosh of the dock. Now, if I wanted, I can actually put this on the inside of my card. That would be really quite lovely to just kind of finish it off there. And now I want to do, so I need to bring this down to, what is it? Okay, so it's 5. So I'm going to take 1/4 of an inch off here. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit more than that there. That, and then bring this down so that this goes to 5.5 right there. No, it needs to go to 4.5. Sorry, because my card is 5 inches. Be like, why is this so big? There we go. So here's what this is going to, essentially. Okay, so I've got this really nice big sentiment that is going to set that. Look at how lovely that's going to be. Don't need anything else. Well, I mean, we're going to zhuzh it. So I was going to say we don't need anything else, but we're going to zhuzh it. So there we go. Okay. So on this one, though, I'm pretty good to just do a little bit off of each side here. So I'm going to take this down a bit, a little bit close to half an inch there. And I'm going to take this guy down to 6. And I want to get a little bit more of that purple, that deep purple in there. So let's do that. Turn this around again. Got a little bit off. Okay. And I'm not going to keep these to put on the inside. I think this one gives a really nice, it's a little bit bigger, so we're going to do that. So on this one now, I do want to take down a little bit of the dock. No, because my sentiment's going to come a little bit lower. So let's, well, probably will still take down a bit of the dock. I want a lot of it to come off the top here. Yeah. Okay. Throw that away. All right, put this down to the side here. And let's check it out. So now that we've got it a little bit closer, so we could use, we can do this hello like that. It's pretty good. I think though, because the trees and everything are so delicate, I think I want to go with this hello, just right here at the edge. What are you thinking of that? No, you know what? We might need the deeper one. The chunkier hello. You know what? I like the chunkier one. Don't you? Like this delicate one is just so pretty. I actually think I have, oh well, this is the shadow. So this is what the shadow would look like with the, and then having the other one on there. But I almost think that it gets too lost in there. So I think that I want something a little bit bigger in there. Go figure. Okay, that's a surprise. Okay, we'll go with that. Now, fun things, fun things, fun things, fun things. I'm going to put this to the side here. Now, let's compare cardstocks. So how do you choose? What do you like to do when you're comparing your cardstocks and choosing? Because I've heard this from many people that this is often their hardest challenge, is how to find a color that goes with it. So I have pulled out, so I got a pad of paper from Dollarama. Okay, so whatever you get. So this pad of paper. It's foil paper from Dollarama, which is a craft store here in Canada. And I think this was like, yeah, $2.75 for 16 sheets of metallic and holographic and shimmer cardstock. I mean, you cannot beat that price. And what's really nice about it is that it is actually printed on cardstock. So it's not got the plastic to it. Because a lot of times what you will find is that you get with metallic or iridescent in particular, when you're using those things. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit of ink on me here, so I'm going to give my hands a quick wipe. You'll often find that it's very difficult to cut through using die cuts, and it splinters off, or it won't cut all the way through. And what I have found with this is that there are two kinds. So this stuff from the dollar store, trust me, I've gotten other stuff that is not good, and I've actually just ended up throwing it away because it drives me bonkers. But this particular pads, and they have a multicolor pad, and they have like a greeny blues and silvers and golds. The golds were not nice, but that's okay. But this particular pad, so you can cut through the paper, but also if you're looking for a name brand that you can find, is Tonic Studios. And I believe that they have, it's a 5 sheets of 8x10 paper, or 8.5 by 11, so A2 size. And I believe they're 5 sheets for $5 or $6, and they have beautiful multicolored. They have some textured papers. They have iridescent, or it's not iridescent, it's holographic paper. They have shiny, so mirrored cardstock in black, white, like pinks and blues and greens, and you know, you name it, and they've got it. And yeah, and then shimmer paper, and it's really, really good quality paper. So that would be the name brand that I would recommend if you're looking for, and you don't have a local dollar store or Dollarama, to go throw this in a more cost-effective way. So when I pulled out the papers, I knew looking at these, which I know you're all shocked that this is what I'm choosing to do, because I don't typically choose pinks, but I just couldn't pass up how beautiful the sunsets and how rich these colors are. So that's what I'm going to be looking at is the shades of the pinks and the kind of the oranges. Okay. And I'm going to use both on each page to show you why I'm choosing one versus the other, which one highlights the paper better without detracting from the image, because this is going to be the main focal, right? I don't want to detract from that. So um for the base, let's look at the two, or this is going to be my matting layer. So this is the layer that's going to be closest to the cardstock. So let's look at first this big piece of kind of a pink shimmer. So it's kind of a mauve, if you will, pink shimmer. So I'm going to put both pieces on there so you can see them at the same time. So look at the differences. Okay. So look at how on this particular one, which is the glossy photo paper versus this one. So this is pretty, this is okay, but you'll notice how the edges tend to fall almost more into the paper versus this one. All of a sudden, the colors looked a little brighter when I put it down. So I'll take it off again and we'll just look at it without. So this is it without. Oh yeah, it's quite nice and shiny. Let's put it on there. Pops a little bit, right? Same thing here. Okay, this is quite nice. Let's put it on here. Ooh, that almost blends into the background. Okay, so that's those two. That's the one choice. Put that aside. Here's the next choice. So this is kind of I was going to say it's a rose gold, but it's not. It's much more of a rosy, almost like a peach shimmer is what I'm going to say. I don't know how well it's translating on the camera in terms of the color. But so here we go. Here is the glossy photo paper, the peach. Let's put that on there. Okay. Did you notice how when I put this down, all of a sudden this tree and the sunset, that kind of all just kind of blended and went blah into the background. It didn't pop out of it. It kind of mushed more into the background. Now, let's check out. So we've got now this is just the regular cardstock. Watch this. Look at how much more visible that tree is now, just because it doesn't have the shine to it. So when I put this tree on here, all of a sudden that tree looks less visible versus here. Okay. All of a sudden, these clouds have a little bit more texture. They have more depth and dimension just by choosing and changing the color. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm placing my photos, things like that. That's how I go about determining what colors I like to use. Let's look at it on some, we'll call this a rose gold, but it's not the greatest. It's kind of a peachy gold. Oh, and you're getting just a lovely shot of umpteen chins there. So let's not do that. Okay. So here we go. So now this is quite nice. This isn't bad on there, but again, because there's so much shine, I feel like it kind of takes it away a little bit. So I don't think I'm going to be using that. Okay. Here's with the glossy. And again, I just feel like this particular background color, it's not the worst, but it's more competing with the photo rather than working with the photo. Here's a nice pink. Look at how it made these colors here pop compared to, now they're bright already to begin with. If I take this color away, okay, so quite bright. Let's put it on here though. All of a sudden, ooh, it's like when somebody puts eyeshadow on and it really highlights, they use the right tones to highlight their skin and the color of their eyes, brings it out a little bit more. Okay, here's the cardstock background. Okay, on the pink. So again, this is nice. This isn't bad. I feel like the shimmer ones or the muted ones are highlight the photo better. But if this is all I had, this wouldn't be the worst, right? But is that really how I want to think about it? No, I don't want it to be the word. Oh, it could be. Ideally, I'd like it to be as good as the best that I can do. Okay, so here we have some kind of an orangey, peachy holographic paper. You can see the rainbow to the background there. Okay, and so this is the glossy photo paper. Okay, look at how much that just sunk into the background now. Your whole eye is focused, not just because of the extra shine and everything, but because this is so much stronger and it mutes all of the color here. Okay. Let's try it now with the regular photo or regular cardstock. Okay. that tone is much nicer with this card, with the prints, without the extra gloss that kind of brightens up the colors on the photo paper. This one, because it's the paper is more saturated. So it's a more like a pastel is what I would say. So this works with that a little bit better. But again, it's still it's pulling attention away from the actual photo. Okay. So now, does that mean that we're not going to use those? Absolutely not, because they're beautiful. So what I have decided, what I'm going to do then, is I am going to use, and I pre-cut these because, that's sometimes how I like to roll when I think about it. So this is what I'm going to use for the background. So I'm going to use kind of that peachy tone for the cardstock one, and I'm going to use the pinky tone of the, it's not mirrored, just the shimmer cardstock here for the photo paper one. But what I want to do, and to show you how to get a little bit more out of your supplies, I'm going to do my die cuts now. And what I'm going to do, because these are going to be covering them up, I'm actually going to cut my die, my sentiments right out of the center of them. I truthfully, I have, there are a lot of people who like to use their supplies. I like to use my supplies as well, but I have so much paper. I don't typically do this, but because it's such a large piece and it'll be well hidden, I'm just gonna cut it out. So, and we'll go with that. Okay. So let's do this. So basically for me, I'm going to use my Gemini Junior. So I've got my Gemini Junior cutting plate. I am going to put a shim down because I'm cutting sentiments. So if you want to have a really good cut to that, that's what you want to do is you want to put down your sentiment. You want to make sure if you've got anything intricate, sometimes you need to make sure that you're using a shim. I'm going to have my magic mat. So this is basically a self-healing cutting mat, and then my cardstock. And I am going to cut out both the shadow and the main sentiment. So I'm going to run this through, and then my top cutting plate. So again, make sure that you're using the words, what's the words that I'm looking at? Using the sandwich for your own die cutting machine. If you're not sure how to use a die cutting machine, if you're looking at what to buy, like sort of sourcing it out and figuring out, do I need one? How does that work? Blah, 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 blah. I've talked about her a couple of times, but there's a wonderful lady out of the States. Her name is Stacy Park. She owns a store called Scrapbooking Made Simple, and you can find her at scrapbookingmadesimple.com. I learned so much by watching her videos. And if you think my videos are long, you should go watch her videos. They are long. But what I will say is she is now like she creates her own products, she designs her own dyes, all of those kind of things, and uh does that. And then she has the instructional video for the Sizzix Big Kick or Big Shot, whatever you want to call it. And she's done several iterations of it over the years. She had one from like 10 years ago. She did another one, I want to say maybe 3-4 years ago. Put that to the side there. 3-4 years ago. And then yeah, and she just goes through exactly how to use any die cutting machine, particularly the Sizzix. But once you get the basics down, you know what you're doing basically. And it gives you a good idea of what to do with your particular machine, whether you've got like the old Cuttlebug or you've purchased something new, you've got something from the Stampin' Up machine or the new like a Gina K one or whatever you've got, the Empress, even the electric machines. Okay. So you do that, and she gives you all of the tips and tricks to make it work for you. So as you saw, I had already cut it out. And so every time when you're using your cutting plates and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you flip it over for the next time that you go to use it. That's how you'll add more longevity to your cutting surfaces. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the same sentiment and I'm going to cut it out of the mirrored pink cardstock because I want to layer these. And I may do the shadow still out of some vellum. We're going to see because I want to see how it's going to look, but I'm going to get all my die cutting done here. So again, as for Stacy, again, like I really recommend if you're looking at wanting to know how to use your die cutting machine, all the tips and tricks to make yourself as successful as possible with it. Because there are a lot of things. A lot of people think that it's the machine or that there's probably that they're doing something wrong, that it's their die cut, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's just you're not as familiar with how to use them, right? And so making this, before you go and spend money on a new one, check it out because you don't know. Maybe there's nothing wrong with the machine that you have. You're just not using it correctly. I'm just gonna tilt this because I noticed I'm almost out of frame there. There we go. Okay. Um, may more often than not, it's user error. Okay. Same thing with she has beautiful instructional videos on the Go Press and Foil machine. She's the very first person who carried it. She's who I saw using it and love it. And I get probably I would say 85% of the time I get really excellent results because I watched her instructional videos on how to do it. Yeah, so look at how pretty. Okay. And I'm going to keep that here. And then actually, I've got a tiny little piece of vellum right here. So while I've got this out, I am going to put this in here and cut that out just in case. Now, what did I do with, there's my happy birthday. Okay. So for this happy birthday, I'm going to cut it out of this kind of peachy holographic. And then I'm also going to cut it out of the center of that one. But this way, then I can fit. Oh, did that move? No, it did not. Okay. I can fit both dies on here at the same time. So as I've said before, the die cutting machine that I'm using is the Gemini Junior. It's an electric machine. I love it. The only one that I've heard that works better. I have a friend who has the Vagabond, the original one by Tim Holtz. It's great. It's quite the workhorse. We've traveled with it for many years now, and it still holds up and it works really good. Based on the videos and the people that I follow as card makers, it sounds like and it appears that the best one out there so far for electric ones is the Anna Griffith Empress one, which is sold by QVC, I think, or the Home Shopping Network in the States. But I can't get it here in Canada. Ooh, I'm gonna have to run this one through again. Darn. Squished it. Okay, so you can just see here. So you notice it has come out, my die has come out in all of these areas except for where this B, like you can see it must have missed an edge. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go in with some fussy cut scissors. Now, normally I would just fussy cut the whole thing, but I don't want you guys to have to wait for that because that could be excruciating. So because I don't want it to recut all of the areas that it has already done, I'm going to peel off, try and cut around the areas that have popped out of the die already. So just to try and not get a double cut because, that's never fun. Let's see here. Oh, you silly thing. We'll see how well this goes. I might have to pull out another sheet of paper. Okay. This doesn't happen very often, but I will say every once in a while, this is something that happens when you have not the best die. So I'm also going to throw a shim of some cardstock under there. I love that. Just to kind of try and force it through a little bit more. There you go. See what happens there. We're going to roll it through on a different part of the rollers because that will also make a difference. Oh, see, and I was talking, and again, totally lost my focus. I don't know. Some days I wish if I was doing this live, then you guys would at least be there to be able to tell me, hey, Corinne, you missed out on this. What you were talking about this. Go back to that. Because, yeah. Hello, squirrel. Welcome to ADHD. All right, so that's a bit better. Yeah, it looks like I am still going to have to do a bit of fussying because it didn't catch this B here. So we'll pull that out. And I'm gonna have to trim and do the cutting on the other one. Always nice. This is why I usually try and do my die cutting before I do the videos, because this will, you know, having to trim this will add some little bit of time to the video. So my apologies. Please fast forward if you would like. All right, so let's put this on there. So I want to cut this right out of the center. Let's try putting that on the high point this time and see if we can get that to go through. And let's see here. Try and add what I got here. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. So just to add a little bit more pressure. Now, usually I don't need to do this, but in order to get this go through, I'm going to add in my silicone squishy pad, which if you saw the last video, I showed you how to do dry embossing. But this is going to add just that extra bit of thickness to try and force the dye more, excuse me, into the paper. All of a sudden I have the hiccups. Okay, let's see. Let's see if that works or not. Okay. Stick that through, see if it'll take it. Oh, yeah, you can hear it kind of going a little bit. So it's got a better grip this time, which is good. Oh. All the way through. Oh, every part except for that. Oh, fudge. Okay, let's try that again. That did much better on this side, so let's try that from this side and see if it will not like it, because I'm thinking it won't, but we'll see how far it'll go. So essentially, what's really cool about this is that my Gemini Junior is telling me, yeah, I'm not really happy with that because it's too thick what you're putting through here with my extra squishy on it. So it's a little, so it was a little too thick and it was saying, oh yeah, I'm not happy about that. So it kind of gets a little folded up in there and that's all right. So I'm done with my die cutting. So I'm going to put that away, get that out of the space here because, you know, we want space to work. Okay. So let's pop this out. I do have to be careful. I can't cut from the edges on this because, of course, this is my matted piece, right? So I'm just going to take my fussy cut scissors and I'm going to cut along the edges. So most of the die has already cut. It's just in a few places that it's not letting go. It's kind of impressed the image into it. So it does give me an area of where to follow or what's the word I like pull on kind of thing, where it has actually detached, which is good. That's what we're looking for. And then I have to come up here on this B. So I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about here. You can see here where it hasn't caught this edge. So it could be that in the die cutting process, like the cutting lip of the die is not high enough. That's a possibility, like to separate it enough from the paper. And I will say this doesn't only happen with non what's the word that I'm looking for? Non designered dies or like yeah, that's we'll go with that. We'll go with that as the word. I have had this happen with very, very expensive dies, like a die set that I paid $100 for. I had to do this with every time I used it. And you know, I good company, no problems, but I'm like, yeah, I don't have any in my budget to have to spend this kind of time. Now, when I've spent $2 or $3 on a die and this ends up happening, okay. Would I prefer it didn't happen in front of you guys while I'm filming? Yes, I would. But such is one thing sometimes. So here we go. So we're just gonna work with that and cut on the edge here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oops. Okay, so there's my die cut has come out of the center and I'll be able to stick that down. Nobody will be none the wiser. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, and now I'm going to pop this out of the die there and pop these edges out because I do like to keep my dies cleaned up here. Put that to the side and let's pop out what will actually pop out in here. So you can see like all of the little spaces in the P's and the Y, these did cut out. They're fine. They didn't, despite the edge here that didn't go through, all of these little spaces are just fine. And can lift them and pull them out. It has an edge that caught right there at the edge. So now I'm just going to go in here and trim, just kind of catch. So you can see that it did impress into the die, into the paper, the image. So it has already pushed its way through most of the paper. Some of this I'll just run my scissors along and it'll already pop off the edge. This is another reason, the good reason for having a good set of fussy cutting scissors in your stash. You want to make sure that you've got a good pair of fussy cutting scissors. It's a must. A lot of people cut out critters and stuff like that with them. This is often where I end up having to use my fussy cutting scissors because I refuse. Another good trick if you are having problems getting a die to come out or to release the paper and stuff like that is to put a piece of wax paper between your die cut and your paper, your cardstock. And the wax will coat the metal, but it will also give a surface, like, so it makes it a little bit thicker. So it gives your die something to bite into, which is again why I put the silicone shim in on when I ran through my die cut there. But also, it allows it to just kind of pop off because it will release right from, it will release right from the what's the word that right from your paper and from the die. It pops right out, just like butter. It's very good actually. So that's another option. Although truthfully, I rarely have to do that. This is oh, I don't know, 5% of the time I end up having to do this. Again, just because I know how to use the machines and things like that. This is a fairly new die cut. So I haven't really practiced with it. So I'll know for the next time if I do this, I either need to use a thicker cardstock, I need to put a shim in, or whatever that looks like. Because trust me, having to cut this out in front of you all, I'll remember this now. But like I said, having only paid, it's a nice die. So when I put that on there, like, look at how lovely that is. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pop off where I can from the holographic. Now I will admit to you, cutting this holographic is going to be slightly more difficult because it's very shiny with the from my big light, popping it in order to see it, popping it right into my eyeballs. It's burning my retinas. And so we're gonna go shoot, 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 shoot. And catch to the edge here. Go. And it's gonna pop out. Catch the edge of the wall. Yeah. Oh, I was watching I don't know, I think it was a React video yesterday, and they were doing based on lyrics, like guess the lyrics. So they had like millennials guessing the lyrics for certain things like TV shows and things like that. And one of them that came up was the Mickey Mouse Club. And I was shocked at how many of the millennials actually knew that it was the Mickey Mouse Club and then could actually sing along with it. I was very shocked. Speaking of the why, and sorry, that was again another squirrel moment there, but just kind of, you guys are all having to watch me do this. So it's, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? Again, if you don't want to watch me fussying with this, which I'm almost done now, but if you don't want to, please do fast forward. That's not a problem. It's unlikely I'll be talking about anything super relevant until I go to start adhering these together. So come on back when you see me pulling out the glue. See here. So, does anybody have any big plans? So, obviously, you saw here that I had done my Mother's Day cards. That's what I worked on in the original video that I filmed. Was Mother's Day cards, and yeah. So in that, I was talking about what plans are for my mom for Mother's Day, and also for my sister-in-law. Because of course, I don't have children, so I don't get a Mother's Day, which is fine. Um, Although, there are some who will say because I don't have kids every day is a Mother's Day, because I don't have the stress of that. So, perfect, whatever. That's how it is. And to the moms out there, Yeah, you got a lot of hard work there, my friends. A lot of hard work. So yeah, we're gonna be having a brunch here on Sunday. So my mom and possibly my dad, if he's feeling better, and my brother and sister-in-law and their two kids will be coming. And so Alan and I are gonna cook breakfast or brunch, whatever, bacon and eggs and sausages and hash browns and whatnot. And then we for the last couple of years after we do brunch, especially because since Matt and Jen had their kids, my brother and sister-in-law had their kids, it's not, my brother doesn't do things like this, but it's not really fair that my sister-in-law has to make her own Mother's Day thing. I think that's kind of wah wah. So yeah, they come to my place. So I'll cook because I'm doing it for my mom anyways. So yeah, so we do that. And then afterwards, here's one that's sticking out there still. Um, Afterwards, then we usually go to a greenhouse or two, something like that. Just kind of a nice way to spend the day, kind of thing. So what I'm going to do here, because I decided I wanted to add this extra little bit of bling. So I've cut out my sentiment, obviously in the same color cardstock that matches what I have matted, right? Because I took it right from the center of my matting layer. So it's going to match that. But I like having this little bit of, let me see, this is a peach one. Yeah, good. This little bit of shine. So I want to add a little bit of extra dimension. So I'm going to pop up my sentiment by putting it on top of another sentiment. But you notice that this doesn't have a shadow layer. So what I want to do is I am going to take it, I'm going to lay it down and just slightly off center it, like just a little bit to the right or to the left. Depends on which one you prefer. Either is fine. Neither is wrong. Either, either, whichever one you want to do. Oops, too far, too far. There we go. So I want to slightly offset that just a little bit because I want that little highlight of the shine, the holographic paper to shine from the side there so that it looks like it's catching the light. Same as like the dot or the trees or whatever. I want that little bit of light coming through. And so while that's settling, I'm going to pop that on like that. And I'm actually going to stick this card, I'm going to stick this photo down. So I'm going to start with the matting layer. I often find that that's easier. So I know that that's going to fit. And so we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the edges, add my liquid adhesive. So again, in my glue press here this is a glue press by My Sweet Petunia. Handiest damn thing if you use liquid adhesive, not going to lie. It's really great. It's well worth the money. It's expensive, but it is well worth the money. So again, there are some things that I will spend on and some things that I won't. And this thing is handy if you use liquid adhesive. Saves your hands from having to squeeze all the time. And it's by My Sweet Petunia, and it's partnered with Tonic Studios. So the Tonic Studios glue is what comes in it. But I don't like their adhesive. It's very thick. I mean, it's excellent. It's very, very good, but it's too thick for what I use, I find. So I don't want anything that's that thick. So I replace it with the glue. Once I've used everything in here, I replace it with the liquid adhesive that I like to use. So in here currently is Bearly Arts adhesive, liquid adhesive. The other one that I also like is just make sure my card is flipping that way. Yep. The other one that I do like is the Art Glitter Glue, which is really nice. The nice thing about the Bearly Arts, though, is it can actually be shipped in the winter, which when you live in Canada can be a problem. The Art Glitter Glue can't be shipped in the winter because it has too much water content, so it freezes. So I don't know how come the Bearly Arts doesn't, but there you go. That's what it is. Okay, so that one's glued down, and I think there's the second one. So I'm going to adhere this one as well. And I'm just going to move this. Okay, it's kind of stuck there. Well, no, that's pretty good. So I'm actually just going to plunk that down again. So obviously, because this is the base layer and it's going right onto the card base, we can just add adhesive. We don't have to have it doesn't have to grab on everything in here, but you just want to kind of get it to the edges enough that somebody's handling this, it's not going to go flying off or anything like that. It doesn't have to be like woohoo. So, and unfortunately, you can see the challenge when you're using your die cuts with a shimmer paper. Like you can see all of the impressions from my die cutting plates. But this is going to be covered, and it's only, like I said, the 1/8 of an inch all the way around that's going to show. But if you're wondering where did that come from, you'll notice that my papers were smooth like this before I ran it through my die cutting machine. These are all of the impressions from my previous die cuts. So if you're using shimmer paper in particular, like this nice shimmer shiny paper, it shows it the most. I recommend using new die cutting plates when you're cutting these things, and then go back to your go back to the other ones for your regular die cutting kind of thing. But if you're cutting on shimmer, yeah, you might want to have a nice clean fresh set of die cut plates, because otherwise you will get those impressions. But like I said, I'm going to add so much to this card, it really doesn't matter. It's not going to make a difference. I just kind of think it ends up adding a wee bit of texture for me to the background too, so not the end of the world. Okay. Let's make sure I've got right to the edge and I've squeeged out my liquid adhesive. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to give my hands a bit of a wipe because I've got some adhesive on them. Great. Okay, so now this is mostly dry, so I'm just going to put that to the side. And what I actually want to do is I want to finish this card, okay, because it's the most simple. I'm not going to be adding a ton to it. I just want to put my sentiment on it. So let's figure out, what is this sentiment going to look like? All right. Let's maybe move this to the side so you guys are, you've got the focus a bit. Focus. And let's see here. Okay. So now I have my vellum layer. So what's really nice, again, vellum is basically, it's a plastic paper. I'll show you what I got here. This actually just came from Amazon. This is the kind that I have. So it even has a GSM. So this is a 8.5 by 10, 8.5 by 11 A2 size, 167 GSM. So it's kind of a plasticky paper. So it is non-porous. So you could actually even use alcohol inks on here. I've done that before. It makes really pretty. But yeah, like you can put this through a printer, those kind of things. But essentially what it is it is a kind of like a white, but you can see through it, right? So here it's opaque, but I can put it on here and you can still see some of the colors through there, but it's muted. So I'll bring that up so you guys can all see. See how you can still see the lake through that, right? Like, so I bring it up. Oh, okay. Ooh, that looks like it's solid. And then I put it here. Oh, ooh, here's the dock. Look, we can see the dock. Look, we can see the trees. That's funny. I don't know why I'm telling you guys that. Anyway, so vellum is really handy when you want to add some, you don't want anything that's going to hide your images behind it or take away from the background, but you do want to provide a little bit of um, lift or depth or separation between your background and your die cut. Because if I didn't, let's say, for example, I just put that on there. Okay. Now that's okay, but it could kind of blend into it, right? Same thing with if I just use that. Now, because it's got that nice shine to it, it does kind of pop off of there. So that's not too bad, right? But you know, that kind of blends in. Now, if I were to do this instead, put it just onto my shadow layer of the vellum, now it's got a little bit of lift to it. So the other thing that I could do is I can do the shine on the shiny pink on the metallic pink. That's an option. Or I could do this one as well. This is why I cut so many of them. Okay. So now when I hold that up, look at, so I haven't glued them down because I'm not sure what I want to do yet. So I get that wonderful shine, but it also pops it off. So actually both of them are quite nice like that. Interesting. It's not quite where I thought I might be going with that. Oops. I don't even know which one I like better. Think I like this one better, but this one's pretty good too. What happens if I do this? Let's experiment. What happens if I do not that, because then it covers it over green. Okay, so now I've got my pink. So I've got kind of the muted metallic pink behind. And then what if I do that? So it's kind of like, again, it's again, that kind of more muted pink. Let me show you guys what that looks like. That. So it's a little closer in tone, but it does pop off a little bit more. I think, no. So, I do kind of like how just how subtle it is with, I mean, I like those shadows too. It's actually quite nice. This looks really nice with the sunset behind it. Oh, decisions. Good heavens, I didn't know this was going to be so blooming difficult. Hang on, if I do that, does it show some of this? What if what if I do just a hint of the metallic behind it? Oh, I might have found what I wanted to do here. Oh, that's interesting. What does that look like, you guys? Oh, yeah, I catch the hint of the shine. Okay. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna take my vellum. And actually, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put the adhesive on the back of my hello here, because when I'm gluing down the vellum, I want to put my adhesive in the exact same spot so that it's hidden, because it'll obviously, because it's opaque, you'll be able to see the adhesive behind like the vellum. So I want that to not be showing. So I'm going to do this. Okay. Just gonna push that into place there. So. Okay, and now I'll show you what that looks like with the vellum. So you can see a little bit where some of the edges of the adhesive are showing. So what I want to do is I'm going to put my liquid adhesive directly behind where the die cut is on the front, so that it's not going to show through, like squidging where all of the other areas are. Okay. And now I'm going to take this and I'm likely, same as I did with the birthday one, I want to just slightly off center it. Fudge. Need a longer nail here. A pickup tool here. This is why it's always handy to have a couple of extra tools at hand, because you just never know when you're going to need. Okay, so I'm going to pick up. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Pick it up. Pick it up. So what I've done is I've just kind of placed it slightly to the right and a little higher than where the vellum is. Let's see if you guys can see that. So look at, you can catch, okay, you can catch the light. All those really pretty layers on there. So now I'm going to stick that under there for just a minute to kind of grasp hold. Okay. And in the meantime, while that's holding, I'm going to take my nice little tree here, tree image that I cut off the edge. Remember, because that came off. Yeah, right there. So what I want to do is, instead of leaving the inside of my card blank, I can add this in here as a really nice detail to carry the front to the back. So let's put some adhesive on here. Okay. Let's get that right up into place. And I'm not sticking it right against the edge of the card. I am going to bring it in just a little bit to have that separation a little bit. Okay. What's really nice in how this worked out is that there is actually like a full tree in the strip that got cut off. So it looks, look at, like it continues on, right? Like, ooh, cool. So, and I want to have that bit of an edge because that's what we have on the front as well. So I kind of want it to match instead of going, I could have gone all the way to the left, but I don't want to. I like it like that. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of keep that pressed there. And while I'm waiting for that to still be pressed down so that I can switch this. So let's take our die cut here for this one, and we're kind of going to maneuver it around. Now, I did like that, but I think, let me see. Oh no, I like it right there, because then I can add, because again, we're zhuzhing this one, right? So I'm going to add this right here, because I don't necessarily need the trees. I want kind of the dock, the water, like this. I love this part of the focal point. So that's where I'm going to stick it. Stick it. I'm going to make a decision, and that's where I'm going to stick it. So again, I'm just taking some liquid adhesive what's really funny is in the video that you guys aren't going to see now because it was mostly my face, the side of my, like my ears and my chins. I talked a lot about Sticky Specs by Sizzix, which is a sheet of thousands of tiny little glue dots, tiny, 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 that you can put your die cut, something like this, which is fairly intricate, and you just put it down. So you lift the release paper, put your die cut down, just like that kind of thing. Yep. And then you would put the release paper back over top of it, kind of buff it in like this, and then you can lift it up, and it's got thousands of little stickies on without having to, do all of that little fine detailing. And there are people who absolutely love them. I've tried them, and I find that I just get too much stuff all over everything, so it's not my favorite. A little bit of adhesive from when I was sticking the front one down here. That's always awesome. Okay. But they're really handy if you don't like doing all of the fine. Okay, so that's where we're at so far with the cardstock one. So now I'm going to pull that out and I want to stick this down, and I'm going to put my blocks on there so that I can put this guy together. And I'm going to keep this one, and I will glue these two together and put these in my sentiment stash so that they're ready for the next time I have to use pinks, which who knows? I really love this image. It's so unlike me, but here we go. So now this one is a fairly thick die cut. So I can put a little bit more adhesive, and I am going to use a little bit more just because this is a glossy cardstock. So it's non-porous. So it can often be, do I like it there? Hello? 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 Yeah. No, you know what? I'm going to keep it here because again, I'm not zhuzhing this one. So I want to make sure that, did I just go down there? I did. Like I said, I wanted to use a little bit more adhesive here because it's non-porous, so it's kind of a slippery surface. So I want to make sure that I'm going to get a good adherence of my sentiment onto there. So we've got a sentiment that is now 3 layers deep because it has the shiny side, the vellum, and then the one on top. So we've got some really nice, okay, you can see it sticking off of there, some really nice dimension. That's what we want. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of bling, and I've got these really cute trying to open these without shooting them all over my desk. Oh, good. That's good. I really did think I was going to end up shooting them all over my desk. Okay, so I've got these really cute flat back pearls that kind of have these really pretty, like again, have an iridescence, which works really nicely with the shiny paper behind, but also like this little bit of blue, the little highlight there in kind of like these pastel-y colors. So there's kind of purples, there's like a kind of a peachy orange color. Like, look at how pretty these are here. So they're resin, I would assume. So they've got, I don't know how much you guys can see there, but it's got a like the colors on the back of the pearl, and then when you flip it over, so it's got this dome to it. So when you flip it over, the color that is on the bottom is kind of what shows through. So it's clear resin or acrylic or whatever it would be, with a nice little highlight to it. Like, look at how pretty that is. So I could do kind of these orangey colors right here, right? Which is nice. And then transition over here to more of the purple as it kind of goes like as a rainbow. Let me see here. So what else have I got? Okay, so I've got this tiny little red one. So let's do that because that can go maybe here. This is always the fun of figuring out where you want your blingy dingies. Oh, there's one. There's one. There's one. Let's pull out the pinks because I think we've gone far enough over here. Yeah, let's put that in there. And I want this little purple one. Okay, there we go. So now before I sneeze, hands up in the comments if you were one of the people that was here or that saw the video where I talked about putting my things back in the container before I went and sneezed or jostled it or whatever, and then proceeded to do exactly that and lost all of my pearls and whatnot all over my counter, all over my desk. Yeah, that was a great day. Again, because this is a glossy cardstock, I want to make sure that I'm using a decent amount of adhesive behind my flat back pearls here, right? I want it I want to make sure that it is going to adhere to the glossy. Very important. So what I'm using to pick these up with is just a wax crayon, like it's a wax. This is a nail salon tech thing. I got this for like $2 at it was Temu or Alley or something like that. And I just sharpen it, whatever. You can get fancier tools. They have really beautiful, fancy crafting ones, but this works great. In fact, I think I got two for $1.50 or something like that. And it's basically just has just enough tack to push down, like it to lift. And then be able to lift your lightweight little curls and stuff like that. All right, look at that. Card number 1 done. Okay. Now let's move on to number 2. Number two. So now we're gonna zhuzh. So zhuzhing. What does zhuzhing mean, Green? I don't even know if I know how to spell it correctly. But what I want to do is I'm now going to come in with I want to bring out some of the details. So I've got my Quickie glue pen. I've got my this is the close to my heart oh fudge, totally brain fart. Close to my heart, glitter pen. And then I've got my white jelly roll. And so what I want to do is make sure that's flowing. Is now I'm going to come in and all of the areas where the sun is touching, I want to add a few areas of very subtle white. Okay, so before I finish that last leaf, like look at the difference. So you can see here. So I've touched here, here, and here, but there's another area of light here to do, another one up here, another one right here. I didn't touch those, but look at how much the ones that I did hit are popping out. So and all I'm doing is taking it as standard, like a jelly roll white pen, and I'm just adding some quick dots to it in a couple of these areas. So almost like it's hitting a few of these leaves. I don't want to touch all of them. I'm just getting a few to add again a little bit and help to bring in the light on that side because that's where my sun is, right? So that's what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm kind of adding or bringing attention, oops, no, to my sentiment there, but to the lighter areas. So there would be a few kind of on the edge of here. Now I'm also going to be adding something quite bright and glittery to the sun, but let's just catch a couple of those areas. We've got some of these areas here. So and again, I'll bring that up. Look at the difference between right here, where I've added my pen, and right here, where the light continues along that grass line, but this is much brighter. Another one back here. Right there. Bring this in. That just helps to make that look a little bit more 3D because that is where the light is hitting. So, and I've got this light ripple here, there, you, and water. What's really interesting is I don't think it's going to show up on camera, but they're in the way that this was printed out and designed, there is actually you can see almost like brush strokes in how this was painted, right? Because this is meant to mimic like an actual painting, that kind of thing, in the way that Matt designed it. And so it's meant to, so it looks like it was actually painted. So and I'm adding just a few of these little drops of white or picture points of white because again, that's where the light is going to be. So I want to add that little bit of highlight because that's what water has, right? Like especially when the sun is setting, it will catch on some of these areas. What's that? All right, here's where we're at so far. Perfectly lovely card. Could just leave it like this, no problem. Actually, let me add my bling on. because you have to have plain. So for this one, what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to highlight right around my sentiment because oh gosh, again, I don't want these to go all over my desk. I'm just going to pull out. So these are some, again, clear iridescent flat back pearls. You can see that they've got just a little bit of color to them. Actually, they're clear, so they don't have color to them. That would be a misnomer. But let's pull out a few. I'm going to put them on here. So we've got, let's go here. So I think I want to do the bigger ones to the right, and I'm going to do a couple of the littler ones. Littler, is that even a word? The smaller ones. Thank you. English, please. English today. Yes. Okay. And then, so we've got this guy here, pulling that in. So I want the big one way out there. And then a couple of, what I got? Another mid one there. You are the same size. So let's do this here. So you can see that these little pearls they're clear. So in the same way that the previous ones that I showed you, so they're like it's acrylic, so they're clear, but they don't have a color behind them. So the color that I'm putting them on, right? So the colors from below from the actual picture are what the colors of these flatbacks are going to show as. So these ones are a little more purple. This one here is a little more green. These ones have kind of like the yellow in the peachy color. So, and I don't need to use quite as much adhesive for these ones because, again, it's right onto paper. So this will adhere with very little adhesive, which is good. And then once it's dry, so of course my adhesive is a clear, dry, will dry clear. That's the better way of saying that. So we'll just wait for that to happen. Okay. So now at this stage of my card, okay, so I have pulled out some of the highlights of to make the like the water, the edges of the sunlight where it has hit to add just a little bit more depth and dimension. Perfectly level card, nothing wrong with this. I've taken it from something that would be like just the bare bones and have added a little bit of zhuzhing. So with the extra texture, the extra depth, the depth of die cuts, etc. And then my pearls, taking it to something, okay, a little bit more handmade. Now, what do we want to do to add even a little bit more? So now I'm going to take this is the close to my heart glitter pen, or glitter brush pen, sorry. And I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle into some of these areas. And let's see here. Squish it out just a little bit, get it coming down. So this is basically a clear one. And as I've said before, this isn't my favorite. It's a good product. Nothing wrong with it. The one that I prefer to use, though, is actually the Wink of Stella. It's my favorite. By and large, it's my favorite. So what I'm doing now is I'm just following some of the highlights. Like again, you can see where the sun is highlighted here. And so I'm gonna kind of draw out some of those areas. And so this nice long line here, I want that to be some glitter. I've got a little bit here. I'm gonna pull in a little bit of these. Now, from face on, you're not going to see this, but when you tilt your card, right? If somebody's looking at this or they catch it at the right angle or that kind of thing, they're going to be able to see this detailing because it's very, sorry, excuse me. It's very subtle. You can't see it on top. It will absorb into the paper, but what will be left behind is that little bit of shine or sparkle, right? So let's catch some of these areas here. The trick to making water look really fantastic, which if you go back to my coloring with, I think it was coloring 202, which was brush marker, so like a watercolored felt marker. Yeah, because I think coloring 101 was pencil crayons, 201 was with markers, and 301 was with alcohol markers. or alcohol ink markers. The trick when you're adding and you want depth and dimension to water is to make sure that you are leaving kind of like the valleys and the highlights, right? Is to you need the dark depths and then the lighter tones. So you need whites, light blues, dark blues, navies, blacks. And then as you're coming up into the whites, you want to add places for it to sparkle. So I'm going to see if I can tilt this and see if you can catch some of the glitter. Oh, I don't know if it's going to show on camera because it's very subtle. Very subtle. Maybe right there a little bit. Yeah. So I can see the areas where I have highlighted it. Could leave it at just that. No problem at all. That's perfectly lovely. But what if I want to add just a little bit more? Because, that's how we roll. Excellent. Okay. So now I'm going to pull out my Quickie glue pen. And so essentially this will draw fine lines of glue, and it allows for it to adhere. It will dry sticky, and I'm going to add some glue here to my sun area, the big ball of sun in the sky. And I've also got this really lovely path of sun that is glowing on the water as it's coming down. So, and it starts again if you were looking and you're coloring a shadow, starts as a point and then comes out, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got this big ball of light in the sky that starts very small and then kind of widens out. So that's what I'm doing with my pen. You can see me kind of drawing it just along a little bit here, following where some of those highlights are. A little bit, 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 like that. Okay. So I'm just going to give that a moment, and I am going to pull out so it's called White Sparkle by Lavinia Stamp. So it's mica minerals, and it's so pretty, so glittery. Yes, I know you're all none you surprised that I like this. So when I'm using mica pearls or perfect pearls or mica powders or things like that, I like to take a little bit out of the jar and I like to dip into the lid because I'm not going to have to use all of it. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is just an eyeshadow brush that I got from the dollar store, and I'm going to dip it and just kind of push it into that adhesive. And I'm going to let it sit there and kind of adhere to, not kind of, I'm going to let it adhere to the word. I'm going to let it adhere to the adhesive. That's the word that I'm looking for. And then I'm going to cover this up and put that away so that again, I don't sneeze because it's very fine. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can, because I don't want to brush that off. So normally when it's dry, I have a nice big fan brush kind of thing like this, and I'll take that and I'll swipe it. But because the adhesive is still wet, I don't want to do that right now because it'll just drag my mica and the glitter over. But look at what happened there. Can you see where the sunset is now? Sunset, sunrise, whatever it is. Look at how pretty that is, right? Now we've still got this other area here and a little bit to the sides. So now, I did go a little overboard the other day, but I think what I want to do is I want to pull in a little bit of this. So I want to do some gold in these highlight and then a little bit of bronze in this area. Because, because we can. So what the heck, right? What's the point? Like, go big, might as well. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of gold. So a line there and another line there. So I'm going to do this in a couple of stages. So, and again, that's why I like usually only using, I put some on my brush and kind of dip it into the lid again, because once I've pulled it out, especially if I've mixed it, it's pretty fine. You're not really usually using very much. So I don't really worry about having to put it back, quite frankly. But that's why I don't use very much is kind of what I try not to do. Okay, so and I want to catch just a little bit of some of these areas along the base, like that are kind of up towards the front there. Okay, so let's do that. And I'm going to start with not the bronze because that's going to be the second layer. Because why not, right? So this is the crystal gold. And again, it's going to have that same sort of shimmer to it. And is that the bronze or was that the gold? Which one have I been using? It's like this one was the gold. So I'm going to pull this out And so you can see that I've loaded a bit onto my brush there, and I'm going to tap that into the lid, tap it into my brush, and then I'm just going to come along. And the minerals are like it's mica, so it's really incredibly fine, and that will stick to wherever I have put my quickie glue pen, right? Okay, and let's just buff that off. So sometimes you have to like this sticks because again I've gotten glue on it, right? So I don't know if you can see that in my eyeshadow brush there, but there is a little bit in there. Okay. Now let's see if we can. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Can you tell the glitter just makes me happy? So now what I think I want to do is I want to pull out that shine just a little bit by using the bronze color because it then becomes a little bit closer to the color of the wood, right? So we've got the gold where the light was really, really, really lighter, really, really lighter. That doesn't make any sense. But where the light hit it kind of in the center. And so now there are still some of these lighter areas but aren't quite as light as the center part, like the direction of where the sunlight came. So that again, this is where we start adding kind of like the shadow and highlights, right? Same as when you're coloring, what is closest to the light source would be the lightest in color. And then as you get a little further away from that, you're going to have that, it's going to be slightly darker and a little bit more in shadow. So how does that figure in? Okay, so let's try that. Let's see what this looks like. I didn't do this the other day, but I think it's genius. Look at me go. Sorry, I'm just enjoying myself here. But that's what you want to do, right? You want to enjoy your crafting process because otherwise, why do we spend so much on all this? Perfectly valid question. And if somebody can tell me why, I would love that. But truthfully, I do it because I'm having a great time with it. And I'm using my supplies. I already have it. So why wouldn't I use it? Add this extra and just kind of play with it. Because after all, it is just paper. And truthfully, anybody that I'm giving this card to, they're always stunned. They don't see any of the mistakes, the supposed mistakes that we've made as card makers when we think that we've made mistakes. They don't make mistakes. There's no such thing. And it can always be fixed. It's only paper. So why don't we give it a go? See what happens. Okay. Whoosha. So you can see how I have now taken and created a bit more of a focal point. Bump some of that glitter off. Okay. Because again, I'm not going to sweep this until that is fully dry. But in the light, okay, so this is what it looks like. I want to try and give you a look at what it looks like without the glitter. Okay. So yeah, so this is perfect. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And then it hits somebody's walking by and it hits the light and ooh. Sorry. I know that was a pretty ridiculous sound, wasn't it? This is the some friends we used to get together with craft and this is the equivalent of this is gorgeous. This is flipping gorgeous. I mean, you know what I was really saying, but you know, when we're tickled with ourselves, there you go. That's what we do. That is so nice. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy with that. Yay. Now, if you also wanted to take it up another notch, let's say this wasn't enough for you. Okay, pull out your Stickles, glitter glue. What have you got? So I've got Nuvo drops, I've got glitter glue. Any of this could have been done with Perfect Pearls. What have you got? I've got some microfine glitter. That would have been fun to do here instead of the mica. Right? So I've got some microfine glitters. Could have done those instead. I've got some distressed mica stains. So I could have squirted that on my mat and just drawn this in, right? Because that would have been a pretty color to just kind of paint in there. It's as a watercolor. But you know, I have so you can get these. So this is the Wink of Stella. This one's the silver color. And so I could have, if you had this in gold, you could have done that and just drawn that. So what have you got in your stash? Don't give up, don't go out and just buy these things. What have you got? Pull it out, start using it. So now what I want to do is let's test this. So this is Stickles are essentially a glitter glue. They have been around for a coon's age. They've been around a long, long, long time. And I use these a ton when I'm scrapbooking, but I don't tend to use them very much when I am card making, which is really sad because I love them and they're so much fun. So all I'm doing is taking the tip and I'm kind of just dragging it in a few places, the same as what I did with the white gel pen, with the glitter pen, the glitter brush pen. And I just want to add. Now, the nice thing about this is because it is a glitter glue, it's going to have a little bit of glue, but it's also, when it dries, it's going to have a little bit of depth. It's going to have a little bit of texture to it, right? Which is so fun. And I'm just kind of pulling it and dragging it, just going alongside because I want to make sure that I'm catching, the directions of where the ripples would be. This is so glittery. Oh my God, I love it. This is so funny. This is so me. For people who don't know, like I don't decorate like this, but I love glitter. I only decorate like this at Christmas. Like when it's over the top, it's like it's a birthday card. It should be over the top. But okay, so this is what it would look like without any light on. Actually, you're starting to see. Oh, look at there. You can see the glitter glue, the dimension to it. Just a minute. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. But look at okay. So now I have caught the light. Look at all in here. That is from the stickles, from just adding that little bit of glitter glue. And so now every time it hits the light, it catches. And so it adds depth and sparkle. So it makes the water look like it's moving. And so stickles, you want to give it a couple of hours to dry. If you're using Nuvo drops, they will dry to the touch within an hour or two, but you definitely want to let them dry for 24 hours. Otherwise, they'll fall flat and squish. But with stickles, usually it's dry to the touch and dry to be used within a couple of hours, depending on how thick of a coating you made it. Look at that. Just so sticky. I'm so happy. I can't even tell you how happy I am with this one. All right. While I continue to enjoy myself here, here are the two cards that we made today. So, and I know it's a bit of a longer video. I was trying to not keep it too long, but we'll be where we are now because I felt like I had to repeat everything that I did in the previous two videos, which is ridiculous. I don't know why, but well, there we are for that too. Okay, so here are the two cards that were made. Not to, well, these are the two cards that were made today, obviously. Here are the two that were done using the glossy photo paper. Look at how beautiful, like simple, beautiful, but look like a lot of care and attention went into them. And they did. Just it just didn't take as much, wasn't really easy peasy. Like I could have had two of these done in a half an hour, quite frankly. This one was done quite quickly. This one was done even quicker yesterday or the other day when I did this. It was a lot less yammering and I didn't have to fussy cut out my sentiment. But there you go. So two cards done with the glossy paper, glossy photo paper, and they both look absolutely lovely. So I'm actually going to do this because this adhesive might still be drying. Now, then we have this one, which took longer. So this was the original one that I did. And again, look at, so just sitting here like this. Okay, looks pretty nice, pretty simple, blah, blah, blah. Ooh. And so this one, I was pretty happy with this one, but this one, I am ecstatic. Look at that. In fact, I'm so happy with this one. I'm going to go back before I give this one. I'm going to go and add some zhuzhing to the waves here too, because I'm really happy with this one. Right. So those are our two cards. So if you have any questions, comments, please make sure you put them down in the comments section. Remember to like and subscribe. Oh, keep your comments kind, please. Yeah, remember to subscribe and like the video if you liked what you saw. If you have any questions, I'm going to try and remember to put the link for Mr. Matt Mixed Media in the description as well. So that'll be in either the top comment or in the description of the video, so that you can go and check out his stuff because it's pretty phenomenal. The work that he does. I'm very blessed to have him as a friend, and he does really incredible designs, and he's got lots of tons and tons of images. And if you're looking for something, let him know. There's a new spa line coming out. He's got really great animals, like jungle animals, does lots of steampunk, gnomes. He had a beautiful set of Northern Lights. What else did I see? So many. There's one for camping. You saw one of the things from the lake life. There's so many. I can't name them all. And He's pretty prolific. We get 5 or 6, maybe even 10 sets. He showcases every month and new ones that are coming out. So check him out if you feel inclined to. Um, yeah, other than that, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.